Hurricane Alex continues to deepen in the western Gulf of Mexico. I'm Mike Naso from IPR365.com with an early morning update. And as of 5 a.m. Eastern Time, 4 a.m. Central, the center of Hurricane Alex was located at 23.3 north, 95.1 west. Winds were up to 80 miles per hour overnight, but the pressure has plummeted down to 961 millibars, which makes it the second strongest hurricane we've ever seen in June, behind Hurricane Audrey of 57, which got down to 946 millibars as a Category 4 hurricane over the western Gulf in June of 57. So it's been a good 53 years since we've seen any hurricane in June in the Atlantic this strong, and we know that for a fact. It's moving west-northwest at 7, but it's in a situation, and I'll show you that on the water vapor in just a sec, and it's kind of sputtered out a little bit as it continues to deepen. The track's pretty straightforward. West-northwest has been nudged a little bit to the north, but Texas is no longer in the cone of uncertainty here, which is good news for Texas, bad news for Mexico. However, we do have that hurricane warning from south of Baffin Bay all the way down to La Cruz, Mexico. Areas like, say, Matamoros, Mexico, and La Pesca, Mexico. You guys are right in the square path of what's expected to be a 100 mile per hour hurricane at least. We've seen pressures at 961 millibars with winds as high as 125 miles per hour. So if and when those winds respond, we will be dealing with a much stronger hurricane than we even are right now. Wind radius has gotten larger. You can see tropical storm force winds extend out a good deal all the way down here towards Tampico, Mexico. You guys are going to get hammered by tropical storm force winds. And as far north as Brownsville and Padre Island, you guys will also be in those tropical storm winds. The hurricane winds are right around the eye of the hurricane, which, by the way, the Air Force has reported the southern eye wall is open, which is good news. It could still be dealing with some of that dry air, but again, it's going to take a lot longer than we thought for this thing to come ashore, and it's not going to probably be sitting over the same water. So with the favorable environment, Hurricane Alex should have no problem strengthening. There's the latest IR satellite, and you can clearly see the hurricane has slowed down and has taken a bit of a northwest jog there, and you can see even better that little tiny eye showing up now right there, embedded in the middle of a nice coil of convection. There's no real indication of any wind shear of any type. The dry air is the only real problem, and it's mixing that out. And you can see it's got beautiful ventilation, as I mentioned yesterday. The outflow is streaming to the southwest into the southern hemisphere, and the exhaust of the hurricane, obviously, that you could see a powerful hurricane strengthening in the Gulf of Mexico. Everything we were tracking with Invest 93L a few days ago, talking about what could happen, has transpired now with a strengthening hurricane in the western Gulf of Mexico. However, things are never that simple, are they? We're tracking it and thinking it's going to continue to move into landfall, and you can see what's happened here. We have the trophiness that's moved through, and that continues to push this way, and that might actually have a factor in kind of tightening up Alex a little bit. Sometimes troughs have effects on hurricanes like that. However, the high pressure that's building back in to push the hurricane west into Mexico hasn't pushed it straight west. Instead, the hurricane has jogged to the northwest and kind of stalled a little bit. Not precisely, but more or less it's slowed down. And that's because it's kind of getting trapped between what's left of the flow pushing it and pulling it a little bit to the northwest, and the ridging that's going to be rebuilding and pushing it west is kind of getting trapped. And with that getting trapped, you can see from the way that dry air there is falling here is kind of getting trapped right there over the very warm waters, and that's making the landfall timing and location a little bit more uncertain, and the intensity very uncertain, because if this hurricane strengthens rapidly today, it could become a major hurricane, and with the pressure as low as it is already, once those winds respond, that could easily be a Category 3 hurricane. So we're going to be watching this very, very carefully, because this hurricane means business. Now, the radar imagery out of Brownsville, you can see there's the long-range loop. There's the eye, and clearly the southern eye wall is open. That's what the Air Force reported. However, it does have one of those tiny little tight eyes, And all the powerful hurricanes, Camille, Andrew, Charlie, Dennis in 2005, Brett in 99, all as they were offshore or making landfall as Category 4 and 5s, they had those very tiny little eye walls, and that's exactly what Alex has, despite the fact that it's not exactly a well-organized eye wall. You can see a good band of moisture just move through Brownsville and the McAllen and areas here along the Mexican coastline. Monterey, you're about to get some weather that's going to be pretty nasty. Corpus, Victoria, Matagorda Bay up there, you guys are going to get hit too with some rainfall. In fact, up near Matagorda Bay, you guys could have some severe weather with that. And there's a good band that's heading directly into Brownsville. And as these bands continue, as the hurricane pulls in, they're going to get progressively worse with stronger winds and heavier rainfall. So as Hurricane Alex bumps to the north, and you can see the motion on that radar, it did bump a little bit, but it's more or less still in this direction, which if continued would take it there. But again, if it makes any more jogs to the north, that could easily be further north in northeastern Mexico as the hurricane continues to spin there. Again, that's the eye of Alex. A few of the models I did want to show you. Here is the H-Wharf model, which in 30 hours brings it ashore at 964 millibars. That's actually a little weaker than the hurricane is right now. It's been a little wacky with intensity, so I'd look more at location. You can see pretty much where the hurricane center expects it to be. The GFDL brings the hurricane ashore in 24 hours at 963 millibars in northern Mexico. And look at this, at 108 hours, look what it's spinning up near New Orleans. Yeah, little tropical storm there, and look what happens. Blup, blup, makes landfall and sticks around New Orleans dropping heavy rain. Isn't that a bundle of laughs right there, that we'd have a second storm in the Gulf of Mexico over the oil spill region. Whether or not that pans out, I don't know. By the way, the GFS, it shows our system hitting northern Mexico, blows up something near New Orleans, and in about 7 days shows a hurricane north of the Bahamas heading towards North Carolina. Now that's just one run and it's a long way out, but regardless, we're going to have to keep an eye on it. There's the wind shear with Hurricane Alex. There's the eye of the hurricane. 5 knots, 5 knots, 5 knots. There's no problem with it at all. If anything, the wind shear pattern has gotten even more favorable. Remember yesterday there was the high pressure shearing into it. Not anymore. Now it's back over the top, and it's looking very favorable. In fact, as it moves a little bit further to the west-northwest, it could actually get even more favorable. And with that small eye over the hot waters, you could see that not any more favorable than you'll ever get for a hurricane. And if this is June and this is the first storm, I hate to see what else this hurricane season has in store, because quite frankly, this storm alone could make a season very, very interesting. But again, we'll continue to monitor Hurricane Alex. There's the radar. Once again, there's the eye of the hurricane, and it continues to move in this direction towards northern Mexico and southern Texas. Texas, you're not out of the woods yet. Things have happened before that could change and make this hurricane more likely to hit you. But as of right now, we're watching a quick deepening hurricane, the second strongest hurricane ever recorded in the Atlantic in the month of June. Hurricane Alex sitting right there. Alma in 66, Audrey in 57, Alex in 2010. I'm Mike Naso from IPR. I'll see you next time.